Okay, so first of all, I just want to apologize for for taking so long to get this, uh, to make this video. I've had a very busy week with a lot of, stuff at work and whatnot. Um, Literally, I'm recording this like 40 minutes before the truck race at Kansas begins. Um, but let's see. There's plenty for me to talk about, so I'm gonna try and skim this over quickly. We had a cup race last week at Dover, and for the first time in forever, unlike the Xfinity race, that cup race was held under a clear blue sky. Thank goodness. We finally don't have to deal with any um, rain shenanigans. No, this was a clear blue sky, thankfully, and even better, the tire compound that Goodyear brought for this race is the same compound that they used for Bristol earlier this year. So all signs pointed to a great race. We got a couple of hard hits in practice though. Casgrala, his car got loose above turn 4, and when he overcorrected, it just snapped on him, just like crash head on into the wall. He was okay, but they had to roll out a backup car for him. And then Saint Smith, he also suffered a flat tire. He spun out in turn 2, and he crashed hard with the rear end of the car into the wall. He didn't go to a backup car, but the team, they still made some unapproved adjustments slash repairs, meaning that he would have to, start at the rear. Other than that, qualifying had no issues. Because this happened in practice. The Casgrala Saint Smith stuff happened in practice. In qualifying, we only had one incident. Christopher Bell spun out on his first qualifying lap. He just brushed the wall with the back bumper. Not big damage, but still enough damage for the team to work on it before the race. Obviously, that meant he would have to start at the rear. But yeah, Kyle Busch on the pole. Speaking of qualifying, great start to his weekend. He is already below the playoff cut line, so he was in dire need of a great race. Ryan Blaney joining him in the front row. William Byron in third. Tyler Reddick and Noah Gragson running out the top 5. And then Denny Hamlin, Chase Briscoe, Michael McDowell, Alex Bowman, and Allmendinger completing the top 10 for the starting lineup. Then behind him, a couple of drivers, Austin Cindric in 11th, Josh Berry 12th, and Daniel Hemrick in 14th. Drivers that have been pretty disappointing to start the season so far this season. Then Truex in 15th, Stenhouse 17th, Carson Hocevar 20th, Larson 21st, but we all know Larson doesn't usually qualify well at Dover, but he has a great car come race day. Ross Chastain 22nd, starting deeper in the field. Keselowski 24th. Jimmy Johnson, Mr. Dover himself, 27th. Then Chase Elliott starting deeper, much deeper in the field, 29th. The Hendrick cars, I was a bit surprised that the Hendrick cars, particularly Larson, well, not really Larson, but particularly Elliott, they didn't show the usual speed that we get accustomed to seeing at Dover, because Dover is a Hendrick track. We see how most of the short tracks and intermediates are JGR tracks. Dover is one of the glaring exceptions. The only driver that has had consistent success at Dover is Martin Truex Jr. Hamlin, right now he's just found recent success, but there was a time earlier in his career where Hamlin was struggling at Dover, struggling mightily. And then, of course, you have Christopher Bell, who's hit or miss this season. Ty Gibbs is still fresh, so we still don't know how he will be like. But, yeah, this was a Hendrick track, and Elliott qualifying 29th was a bit alarming. Suarez 31st, also qualifying poorly. Corey Heim 32nd. This is a driver that I really wanted to talk about. I know I have a video coming up on Corey Heim. I really wanted to make it before the Cup race at Dover, but I just never got around to finishing it. But yeah, he's a current Truck Series driver, reserve driver for Legacy Motor Club. He's making his Cup Series debut, subbing in for the injured Eric Jones after his hard crash at Talladega. His back was hurt pretty bad. So Jones, he's going to be missing the race at Dover. And earlier this week, it was also announced that he will also miss tomorrow's Cup race at Kansas. But he will be back at Darlington for the following week. So he only missed 2 races total. That's the 2 races that Corey Heim will be filling in. He qualified 32nd for his Cup Series debut. Then Christopher Bell 33rd, like I said, he had to start at the rear because of this accident in qualifying. John Hunter Nemechek 34th, then Kaz Grala 35th, Justin Haley 36th, Zane Smith 37th. Like I said, Bell, Zane, Grala, all of them to the rear for basically crashing their cars in practice and qualifying. Grala was the only guy that had to go to a backup car though. Bell and Zane, they managed to get their primaries repaired. And the stage 1, the race begins, and as I expected, as soon as the green flag drops, the track starts taking rubber, especially in the corners due to the harder track conditions. You love to see it because it really meant, I really had the impression that tire wear would be a factor, especially since you could just see the tire tracks as the drivers were just going through the corners. It was just awesome to see. Unfortunately, however, this tire wear also caused Ryan Preece's car to start smoking in the cockpit from all the rubber building up underneath the car. Like, he was literally cooking. So, Kyle Busch, he held the lead for the first 34 laps until Blaney got by him on the bottom. Again, similar to what happened in the Xfinity race. The top lane is better on the short run, the bottom lane better on the long run. Although, something important to note, in the later stages of the Xfinity race, the bottom lane became the preferred lane in both the short and the long run. So that was something to take note of for this race. Caution comes out early. Gilliland spins off of Austin Dillon after getting tight in turns 3 and 4. All of his tires flat. Of course, he has to get towed to pit road. A bit of an extended yellow because of that. About 38, he fell several laps down. I believe he was like 6-7 laps down after that. The leaders used this as an opportunity to pit, and during this pit cycle, Corey Heim gets turned by Reddick as the 45 was exiting his pit stall. He drops to 4th because of this, and Blaney wins the race of pit road over Byron and Denny Hamlin. Kyle Busch also drops to 6th after a slow stop, an issue with the lock nut on the right rear. McDowell comes off 5th, but he gets penalized for speeding. And Christopher Bell also with issues. He has to back up after the tire changer did not secure a lock nut on the left side properly. And he got to lose a ton of track position because of that. So we go to the restart. Blaney and Byron is in the front row. The 12 car holds the lead on the bottom. And after restarting on the bottom, of course, pretty interesting. I really thought Byron was going to give him more of a challenge in the top lane, but Blaney again being the control car, he gets the advantage regardless of which lane you have. So Hamlin has a moment after going over the bumps in turn 3. He drops a couple spots, nothing serious. And it was in this run that the Hendrick cars, they really started to make their move towards the front of the field. And they all put themselves into the top 10 by lap 80, which means that we had nothing to worry about in regards to their qualifying. Byron and Larson in particular, with Larson moving up to 6 and Byron also passing Blaney for the lead. Speaking of Ryan Preece, unfortunately for him, his day goes from bad to worse. His cockpit, remember how I said his cockpit has stopped, the issue that he had with the cockpit, like the smoke coming from the rocker box or whatever. His cockpit has stopped smoking during the caution, but it picked up again on the restart. He eventually had to come back down pit road to have his team diagnose the issue. And it was revealed that it wasn't any rubber that was causing the fire. It was the door foam that was on fire, actually. So they had to take him to the garage, and his day is over, basically. Another driver who also struggled on this stage, Austin Dillon, running already outside the top 25. He eventually had to pit under green due to a flat tire, throwing him basically off the cycle for the rest of the race. Towards the end of the stage, Toyota's long run speed once again shines though, as Reddick and Truex both pass Blaney, and they catch up to William Byron for the lead. And Truex comes out as the winner of that battle, as he is able to hold the bottom longer than the 24 or the 45, allowing him to take the lead as Keselowski spins in turn 1 due to a flat right rear tire, and this brings out the caution that eventually ends the stage. So Truex wins stage 1 with William Byron second, then Tyler Reddick, Blaney, Larson, Hamlin, then Hamlin in 6, and let me check here, Kyle Busch, Alex Bowman, Chase Elliott, and Stenhouse rounding out the top 10. Then we go to pit road. Truex barely wins the race of pit road over Byron and Blaney. It was pretty close battle for the race of pit road, but 19 car holds the lead for stage 2, and after restarting on the outside, he pulls away from the 24, while Reddick retakes 3rd place from Blaney. Nothing much happens on this run, stage 2, up until green flag pit stops begin. Allmendinger, Bell, and Cindric, they begin the cycle, and everyone soon follows. It just takes only 3 laps for most of the field to pit. No one wants to stay out on all tires that much. The only drivers that get that decide to stay out longer are Corey LaJoie and Daniel Suarez, hoping to pit, catch a lucky yellow to pit for, track position. Suarez, he does pit a few laps later though. This leaves LaJoie on his own, and he just doesn't pit. He stays out all the way through up until lap 220 when he gets passed by Larson. And then after losing the lead, he pits a few laps after that. So he completes the cycle. This completes the cycle with Truex in 2nd and Reddick in 3rd. But not for long, as Alex Bowman is right behind them in 4th, and he passes both Toyotas to put himself in 2nd behind Kyle Larson. And while one Hendrick driver is rising up, another one is falling down, as William Byron, his pit crew dropped the jack during his pit stop. He just lost a ton of time. I believe this was like almost a 20-second pit stop, which in this single lock nut era is just completely unacceptable. He cycled back 16th. And he basically, with how much track position matters, he just stayed there, mid-pack. Towards the end of the stage, Keselowski goes up the track. He slaps the wall in turns 1 and 2, and he has to just pit under green. He falls several laps down, but fortunately no caution. And the Hendrick cars, they just come alive. I know I was talking about William Byron's issues, but for his other 3 teammates, 3 of them are in the top 5 alongside the 2 Gibbs cars of Truex and Hamlin, which is honestly painful because Byron, not really because I'm a William Byron fan, but I picked the 24 to win, so I have no doubt in my mind that if it wasn't for those issues that he had on pit road, he would have been up there fighting for the win with his Hendrick teammates and also the 2 JGR cars. It just frustrated me. But yeah, once again, story of the season so far: Hendrick versus Gibbs. As far as stage 2 goes, Hendrick comes out victorious. Larson picks up the stage 2 win, with Bowman 2nd, Hamlin, Truex, and Elliott running down the top 5. And then Kyle Busch, Reddick, Blaney, Stenhouse, and Bubba Wallace. It's really funny how Hendrick and Gibbs, they were like all of them in the top 5. And then 6th to 10th, as far as the stage points go, none of them were either from Hendrick or Gibbs. Like Kyle Busch is from RCR, Reddick from 2311, Blaney from Penske, Stenhouse JTG, and then the other 2311 car of Bubba. So, we go to pit road now, and then the leaders pit, and it's very, very dicey. If you thought the race of pit road was really close after stage 1, this one was even closer. Hamlin, Larson, and Bowman, they exited 3 wide of pit road, and obviously Bowman backed off, not wanting any of that, leaving Hamlin and Larson to race each other off pit road, which Hamlin does win by a nose. Bowman just comes off 3rd, which honestly helped him in the long run because staying 3 wide on pit road at Dover, that's a very narrow pit road. And Hamlin and Larson, particularly Larson because he was next to Alex Bowman, they weren't giving each other any space, and Bowman was actually a bit frustrated over that on the radio, that Larson just didn't give him any, that he feels that Larson just didn't give him any space, which is one of the main reasons why he backed off of that. And also Kyle Busch back up to 4th, obviously. He was one of the winners on that pit cycle, which is expected because he has the number 1 stall, but considering how RCR's pit crew tends to screw up at the worst possible times, it's honestly surprising that they managed to keep to actually gain that track position to the number 8 team. So we go to stage 3, and Hamlin has a great launch on the outside, and he quickly pulls away to a 3-second lead on Larson by lap 270. That 11 car is unbelievable in clean air on the short run, because in the long run, Larson, he started chopping up the lead down to 1.5 seconds by the time the next round of green flag pit stops began. And once again, it's a very quick round. The leaders pit in a 4-lap span, like everyone pits in a 4-lap span. The only driver who stayed out longer was Daniel Hemrick. He was trying to pull off the Corey LaJoie strategy. And fortunately for him, the gamble works out this time around, as a caution comes out not too long after for Ricky Stenhouse spinning on the backstretch and after making contact with Josh Berry while merging back into the track coming off pit road. He had just finished making his pit stop too. I believe that contact bent the toe link too. I never saw him back on the track, and as a matter of fact, as I'm looking here, yeah, he actually ended up DNFing. So, obviously Daniel Hemrick, he ended up pitting in this caution, as well as Kyle Busch and Alex Bowman to put on tires on top of fuel, which is a great strategy because by taking the wave around, you will be starting at the tail end of the field anyway, so why not use this as an opportunity to make adjustments? But yeah, Daniel Hemrick, he basically pitted, and because of all of those cars being trapped a lap down, being forced to take the wave around, that 31 was pretty much in the top 10. That caution basically changed everything for that 31 team. This is the caution that Corey LaJoie wishes he got, because that was a great strategy by the 7 team. They just didn't got the caution that they needed on like the 31 team. But yeah, this gives the lead back to Kyle Larson. And despite Larson being the control car for this restart, Hamlin has a great launch on the bottom, and he clears the 5 on the backstretch as a wreck happens behind them. Bubba Wallace, he got spun out by Zane Smith in turn 2, and he collects Christopher Bell and William Byron. All 3 guys just with heavy damage. And just like that, they just DNF. Just like that, in the blink of an eye. This is one of those wrecks that you just go back and process. It's like, what in the world just happened? Just like that, 3 guys, a Hendrick car, a Gibbs car, a 2311 car, which have been, in my opinion, the 3 best teams so far this season. All 3 guys just out of the race in the blink of an eye. Just like that. Really disappointing for Byron because, you know, he was my pick to win. But after all of the issues that he had on pit road, again, just like Bubba Wallace put it, and I believe Tyler Ankrum said it too in his interview at Texas, when you hang out with the squirrels in the back, you're eventually bound to get your nuts cracked in. That's really unfortunate. Also unfortunate for Christopher Bell. Unfortunate for all 3 drivers because this is William Byron's first DNF of the season. Christopher Bell, I mean, his month of April has been abysmal, and Bubba Wallace, now that's back-to-back DNFs for him. So this leads to another restart, and now that he has the lead, Hamlin, he pulls away once again, although not as much as he did at the start of Stage 3. The most distance he puts between him and Larson is about 1.4 seconds, but the lead never grows past 1.5. Second and 0.4 seconds, second and a half, that's the most distance he put. And the race goes green all the way to the end after that, which, you know, it basically means this was another Hendrick versus Gibbs battle for the win. Larson manages to catch Denny Hamlin as the laps wind down. Obviously, lap traffic help, of course, and he gets as close to 0.2, 0.3 seconds in the last like 5 to 10 laps. But he just cannot close the deal. Hamlin just played amazing defense. He took Larson's line away because Larson, he started running like this middle lane towards the end of the race, that he started like gaining a lot of ground. Hamlin saw that and he took Larson's line away, and with that line taken away, Larson was just unable to make up that much ground on Hamlin, and that's all she wrote. Hamlin held him off to win at Dover for JGR and Toyota. This is the 3rd win of the season for him. This ties him with William Byron. Also the first time since 2018, Kyle Busch and Kevin Harvick, that 2 drivers have each won 3 races to start the season. In the first 11 races, obviously. 6 of the first 11 races have been won by either Byron or Denny Hamlin. That's more than half. That's honestly unbelievable. Even if it's like, even if it's been like a Hendrick and Gibbs dominance all throughout the first 11 races of the season, the fact that it's 2 drivers that stand out for each team, one from each team, that's still incredible. Uh, Byron doing the heavy lifting for Hendrick as far in the wins column, and then Hamlin doing the same for Gibbs. It's just, honestly, just unbelievable. Uh, it's also unbelievable the fact that, Hamlin won at Dover. Because, like I said, I still find it crazy to believe that there was a time where Hamlin, he struggled at Dover. Which, looking back, if you started watching NASCAR now, you will find it hard to believe that, because Hamlin, not only does he compete for wins regularly now, he's also managed to win twice now. This is his second win at Dover in his career. But yeah, at the start of the season, at the start of his career, Hamlin was really struggling at Dover like hell. He just could never manage to figure out the monster mile. But now, as he has gotten older, he's managed to finally put together some solid results. Not just wins, but also like solid top 5s, top 10 runs. He has also managed to snatch a pole or two. Honestly, when a lot of people talk about Denny Hamlin, they really forget how he turned it around at Dover. It's similar to how Kyle Busch turned the page at Kansas, when Kansas used to be like, especially after he was reconfigured back in 2012, Kyle Busch just struggled like hell at Kansas, and then all of a sudden he started racing well at that track. It's very similar to Denny Hamlin. Denny Hamlin's had a very similar history at Dover, but enough talking about the race winner. Let's just go over the finishing results here, because we're kind of a bit of on a timer here. But yeah, Kyle Larson, he finished second on this race. Still the points leader. Although he didn't gain nor lose any points on Truex. They basically got the same amount of points when you account for stage points, because Truex, he finished with one more stage point than Larson, and then Larson finished one position better than Truex, which accounts to 1 point. So they just canceled each other out. They both got great top 3 points days for them. So yeah, Larson second, Truex third, Kyle Busch fourth. Best race of the season for him as far as qualifying, average running position goes. No mistakes from him, no speeding penalties, no mistakes from his pit crew. That 8 team, they finally put a complete race together for the first time this season. I'm tempted to say for the first time since Gateway, which was the last time, which to this day is the last time Kyle Busch won a race, which is a bit sad to say, but I feel tempted to say that this is the best the 8 team has looked since Gateway. I may be wrong, but still. You get the point. Chase Elliott fifth. Again, another great top 5 finish for him. Noah Gragson sixth. Back-to-back top 10 finishes for him. Also the highest finishing Ford. Shout out to him. Ryan Blaney right behind him in 7th. Blaney was, in my opinion, the best Ford of the race overall. Gragson may have finished a position better, but Blaney was overall the best Ford of the race, like he usually is. Alex Bowman 8th, then Daniel Hemrick 9th. Like Noah Gragson, back-to-back top 10s for him as well. That caution during green flag pit stops, it really turned his race around. And running out the top 10 is Ty Gibbs, his first top 10 since COTA in March. Then we go back to Tyler Reddick in 11th. He was running top 5 at the start of the race. I don't know if, the 2311, wouldn't surprise me if that 2311 pit crew cost him a couple spots there, but honestly a bit disappointed that he didn't manage to get a top 10, because he had a top 10, maybe even a top 5 car. He was, arguably the best non-Gibbs, non-Hendrick car all race long, unless you want to say Ryan Blaney, or, well, obviously Kyle Busch, after Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch was, in my opinion, the best car, not from Gibbs or Hendrick in this race, but behind him, you can make a case for either Tyler Reddick or Ryan Blaney being second best in that department. Ross Chastain 12th. He tried to finesse a top 10 at the end, but he just got past in the final laps. Then Allmendinger 13th. Great run for him. Dover is one of the more underrated tracks for Allmendinger. He always runs well, especially at the Cup Series. And this is dating back to the days when he was with Richard Petty Motorsports. I remember there was a race where he started second alongside Jimmy Johnson, and he led like 100 laps. I believe that could have been like the 2010 race, fall 2010 race. And I also remember the 2011 race, fall 2011. This was when he was running the 43 for Richard Petty way back when. But yeah, Allmendinger has had, I remember he finished top 10 in both races. But so yeah, Allmendinger has a very solid track record at Dover. So this top 15 finish for him in a Kaulig car, it doesn't surprise me. Kaulig Racing had a great day. Once again, for the second straight week, Kaulig Racing had a great day. Josh Berry 14th, behind them, Austin Cindric 15th, John Hunter Nemechek 20th, solid result for him. Corey LaJoie 21st, he led 33 laps. Obviously, he didn't get the caution that Daniel Hemrick got. He didn't have the same luck, but managed to stay up front and lead a couple laps. Carson Hocevar 22nd, Justin Haley 23rd, Zane Smith 24th, Corey Heim 25th, top 25 in his Cup Series debut. He got a couple of moments there where he was like fighting for the free pass, and I was kind of rooting for him because I really wanted him to do well in his Cup Series debut because, you know, I have that Corey Heim video planned. I'm gonna finish it and try and upload it, but yeah, I've been rooting for Corey Heim this past couple of weeks, at least until this video comes out, because I want this video to age well. Jimmy Johnson 28th. Again, just, you know, another forgettable race for him. Kaz Grala 29th, Brad Keselowski 30th. His day just went south after that flat tire he got at the end of stage 1, and then at the end of stage 2 he also slapped the wall. So yeah, just for another forgettable race for Keselowski. Bubba Wallace 32nd, back-to-back DNFs for him. William Byron 23rd, first DNF of the season. Christopher Bell 34th, a forgettable, brutal, abysmal month of April for him. And I really hope he turns the page around in May, because right now he's looking at like the worst of the 4 JGR cars. And this is honestly a statement that I can't believe I would say, because, you know, I have high hopes for Christopher Bell. But also, this is the same 20 team that made the Championship 4, that is coming off of 2 straight Championship 4 appearances in the Gen 7 era. The only driver that has made it to the Championship 4 in every single season in the Gen 7 era. It's crazy to see Bell struggling like this. This is like his 2021 self, reverting back to his 2021 self. And then Stenhouse 35th. Sorry, can't speak. Michael McDowell 36. He had a mechanical failure, I believe. But yeah, this is another bad finish for him after such a promising start to the season. Crashing out at Talladega when Ford's win was just in the bag. And now a mechanical failure at Dover once again. Promising start to the season, but it looks like Front Row Motorsports, they have just reverted to usual Front Row Motorsports. Really sad to watch. I had high hopes after, you know, that Penske alliance. They were revealed to have entered that Penske alliance, though. I guess you can blame them that much, considering that, you know, Ford, their Dark Horse Mustang, all of the struggles that they've had. It's not just them, it's just Ford as a whole. And finally, Ryan Preece 37th, you know, after that issue that he had with his car smoking. So, I have a couple of things to say about that finish. Some, you know, an interesting take I have. That battle towards the end, it brought a lot of people unpleasant flashbacks of fall Kansas 2020. You know, I was just looking at Twitter right after the race ended. I remember a lot of people, you know, just, you know, being pissed off at the finish of that race because of fall Kansas 2020. The faster car just could not overcome the dirty air, and all the leader had to do was just stay in front of him and take his line and air away from them. You know, what we know now as aero blocking. And while I just see where they're coming from, personally, it wasn't as bad in this race as it was at Kansas back in 2020. If you ask me, the main reason Larson could not pass Hamlin, it was because that 11 car was a car to beat all along. He just didn't have the clean air or track position to show for it until stage 3. The moment he got the lead in stage 3, he pulled away. And the only driver that could keep up with him was Larson. I swear to you, if that 11 car was a tad bit slower, Larson would have already passed him with 10 to go, and he would have gone on to win the race. Hamlin was a car to beat in stage 3. After Hamlin got the lead, he showed us that he was the car to beat. That was the moment that, because up until that point, like there was no like there was no car to beat. This race was up for grabs between Truex, Larson, William Byron was up there for a moment until the pit road issues. Tyler Reddick and Kyle Busch. I guess you could throw in Blaney and Chase Elliott there. There were a couple of contenders for the win, but the moment Hamlin got the lead won the race of pit road, yeah, that was the moment that the whole field, like, you know, that 11 car, the moment he went up to that 3-second lead at the start of stage 3, that was the moment that the race just became his to lose. And regardless of the dirty aero blocking debacle, this was a pretty decent race for Dover standards. Dover has always been like a track position. You win the race. Pit road matters a lot. Pit road mistakes on pit road are very costly. Track position matters a lot. Dover has been a track position heavy track in recent years, even back in the Gen 6 era. And even if it ended in the most predictable fashion, you know, Hendrick versus Gibbs, Hamlin versus Larson, those battles, they're always fun to watch. And I've kind of been feeling like this for the past couple of weeks, but I have noticed that once Denny Hamlin gets up front, he can give Kyle Larson a fight for the lead, at least for this season so far. But even then, these two guys, they have been bringing me flashbacks to the title battle they had back in 2021, where Hamlin wasn't winning as much, but he was consistently challenging Larson. Now the roles are somewhat reversed for 2024, with Hamlin winning more races so far this season, and Larson being about the only guy that can challenge him more often than not, but you get the point. And while I still have Kyle Larson as my number one driver in NASCAR right now, Hamlin is slowly making this a topic of debate. Obviously, Hamlin is not my personal number one guy because he doesn't have a title. Larson is still the best driver in NASCAR right now, but if you have him as like a 1B and Larson is like the 1A, like a 1A, 1B stuff, as long as Hamlin is your 1B and Larson is your 1A, I'm not going to push back on you that much. The only issue I have is when people say that Hamlin is number one. Like, how can you put a driver that hasn't won a championship number one? Like, that doesn't really make any sense. But and that's literally the only thing that has prevented me from putting Hamlin as the best driver in NASCAR is the fact that he hasn't won a title. Obviously, like I said, 2021, it looked like that was going to be the year where Hamlin was going to finally take the number one driver in NASCAR title, and then Larson just put together an all-time season and ran away with the title. He just stole Hamlin's thunder that season. But yeah, this time I feel like the debate between Larson and Hamlin may be once again, it may be reigniting. And this time the two of them may be on more equal ground now than they were back in 2021 when Larson was just winning and Hamlin was just settling for a top 5 or a top 10. These two guys are actually competing for wins now. A bit disappointing because I had Christopher Bell as, you know, my best Toyota driver, but like I said, the month of April has been brutal for him. Right now, Hamlin is the Toyota's best driver right now. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Hamlin is the best driver in Toyota that Toyota has right now. He's doing the heavy lifting, not just for JGR but for Toyota as a whole. But yeah, I don't think I gave my grade. I'm gonna give it a B-. Yeah, like I said, decent race. Aero blocking got people a bit upset at the end. I understand that, but personally, I didn't have as much of an issue with the aero blocking as much as other people had. This wasn't like fall Kansas 2020 battle. This wasn't a fall Kansas 2020 affair. It was a pretty decent race for Dover standards. Driver of the day. There are a couple of candidates, just like last week. Daniel Hemrick, back-to-back top 10s for him. Right after I made that video of, you know, Hemrick arguably being worse than Justin Haley, he has responded with back-to-back top 10s ever since I made that video. So if you're watching this video, Daniel Hemrick, or if you come across this video, I don't know if he watches my videos, but if you come across it, I want to give you a shout out for proving me wrong, man. I really hope you keep it up. Kyle Busch also has a case. He finally put a complete race from start to finish, ran top 5, top 10 pretty much all race long. The driver of the day, I'm going to go with Noah Gragson though. Back-to-back top 10s. He finished 6th in this race, and it was almost a top 5 until the closing laps. I was really rooting for Gragson to finish top 5. But in the end, he settles for 6. But still, back-to-back top 10 finishes. If it wasn't for that points penalty at Atlanta, he would still be top 20 in points. He is easily the second best driver at Stewart-Haas Racing right now. And one of the very few positives for Ford in what has been an otherwise abysmal season. But yeah, that said, holy shit, it's like 5 minutes before the truck race begins. Oh, we made it on time. Some final thoughts I have. I'm gonna wrap this up. We're going to Kansas next week. Hopefully tomorrow. Speaking of Kyle Larson and Denny Hamlin, we're going to the side of the epic battle that they had at the spring race last year. Hopefully we don't see any of those aero blocking shenanigans, and we get to see another, Larson versus Hamlin title, not really title fight, but race for the win type of battle. Because these two, like I said, when these two come together and race for the lead, they put on a show. Regardless of which side you are on, Hamlin and Larson just battling ever since Larson joined Hendrick Motorsports. His battles with Denny Hamlin, they have been extremely fun to watch. So hopefully we got a continuation of that 2023 finish. But yeah, I guess I'm just gonna leave this here. See ya.